Hey, I'm Jocelyn, and we are here on Tybee Island. Tybee is like one of my old stomping grounds, and we have a couple of friends here with us, and so we're going to make some low country boil, which is a really great thing to do when you have a bunch of people and you don't want to have to do a whole lot of work. All it is corn, potatoes, onion. You need some kind of sausage, some Old Bay seasoning. This is like an absolute must. You can't go without that. And then some shrimp. And we're gonna put all that into boil, and it's all just about putting it in at the right time so you don't overcook things. Obviously, shrimp takes a lot less time to cook than a potato. So you're just gonna put things in a certain order, and you're gonna pull it all out, and you throw the whole mess right onto the table, literally. Put some newspapers down and you just throw it all out and everybody digs in. So this is low country boil. So the first thing I always do is I shuck my corn and I pull off as much of the little silk as possible, and then you just pop them in half so you have smaller pieces. And actually, if you want, you can do it into thirds, just, you know, kind of human-sized pieces, right? And I filled up, I have this great pot right here. This is like kind of a necessity for this. And you only fill it not even halfway, probably about a third, because you're going to put a lot of food into this. So you don't need this to be very full. So I'm going to go back to prepping some of my veggies, and we'll go through more later. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and continue to cut things up, wash things. I'm going to quarter these. And, you know, I'm in not an Airbnb, it's actually, we rented through VRBO, but I don't have all the proper utensils. This has actually been kind of difficult. This kitchen is what I call kitchen light, and I will talk about that on a video about cooking and cleaning in an Airbnb, because that's an important thing to know. Also, I'm going to pop open this sausage. This is kielbasa. A lot of people do andouille sausage, which in my opinion is probably my favorite, but kielbasa is really good too. But you're not getting like Jimmy Dean, right? It's not like country sausage. So you need the good stuff. So I'm just gonna cut this too into like maybe 1-inch sort of pieces, so that you've got, you know, like a little bigger than bite size is what we're looking for here. All right, so I'm just prepping everything before I start, and I'm gonna put the water to boil while I'm doing my prep work. Well, I would if I were at home, but this is a really tiny stove and I have nowhere else to cut. So usually you should just set your water to boil while you're doing all this work. Okay, so I've got 3 onions quartered. I've got kielbasa in like 1-inch segments. And then I am taking, usually I use like tiny little red potatoes, but can't always find those. So any old red potato works fine. Just, you know, I'm quartering each half, so I'm cutting it into eighths. So about that size. Again, you know, just kind of bite size, a little like a hearty bite. We'll call it that. And at the moment, I have got my water started, and into the water is going to go about 2 or 3 ounces of Old Bay seasoning. And that is hugely important because you're going to season your water and then you're going to cook things. And we're going to cook the potatoes first. I'm going to cook my potatoes for about 5 to 6 minutes. And then I'll throw the onions in, and then the kielbasa. And then after the sausage goes in and everything's really just about done, I'm going to throw the shrimp in, and the shrimp are literally going to be in there for like 2 minutes. You just want them to just turn pink and then pull them out. So as soon as you see those done, you're going to take this whole thing out, drain it, and you're going to go throw it on your table. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. And you guys now know the basics of making a really good low country boil. God, it smells like home. All right, so as soon as this gets to a boil, I'm going to start putting things in the correct order, and then we'll be all ready to eat. So my water is boiling, and it is lovely, and you can smell this Old Bay all the way around the house. Normally, I don't use tongs to do 1 potato at a time, but that's where it's going to be. Well, I don't know. Maybe I have a big spoon over here. I've got a ladle. We'll see how this goes. So you just want to be careful when you drop these in, because Old Bay, well, it stains. That's all there is to that. So I'm just gonna drop a bunch in a little bit carefully. And I put my potatoes in, and then my onions, and then my kielbasa, and then my corn, and then my shrimp. So check back with me in a minute. There'll be more stuff in this pot. Okay, so right now there is 3 ounces. There is half of this can of Old Bay in this water boiling. Reserve the rest of this because when we dump it onto the newspapers and whatnot, we're going to dump almost the rest of this on there too. Okay, we're going to let these potatoes cook for a few minutes and then we'll go back to the rest. Okay, I have got my potatoes. They have been boiling for a good hot 5 minutes. And, you know, I'm just going to do this. That knife is sliding in pretty easily, so I'm going to do that. And I'm going to throw in my onions next. Y'all, I keep dropping all the vegetables. We're not going to have any vegetables if I keep doing this. So, all right, so I'm just going to slide those in there. And then I will throw in the meat and the corn cook at about the same rate. You might want to put the meat in like a skosh ahead of the corn, but just pop all that in there. Okay, we got potatoes, we got onions, and now I'm going to throw my kielbasa in. Just same thing, throw it all in there, let it cook for about 5 minutes or so, maybe not even that long. Just a few minutes. I'm going to throw the corn in after that. Kielbasa and corn go about the same time, so really by the time I get done loading all this in, it'll be time for the corn too. And I'm just going to carefully do that with tongs. And then I will throw the shrimp in, and I'll show you that in just a second. Okay, time for corn. Give it a good stir, and about 5 minutes, we're going to put our lovely shrimp in. And by the way, if you're in Savannah, best place to get your shrimp and seafood is at Russo's. If you want fresh stuff, that's the place to go. Okay, so I have 3 pounds of Russo's shrimp. And like I'm saying, this is a great place to get your shrimp when you're in Savannah. But you know what? I'm looking at this pot and it's pretty full. I think I put a little more stuff in there than maybe I should have. So I'm going to do 2 pounds instead of 3. And I'm going to put these in together as quickly as possible because shrimp takes like no time at all to cook, and overcooked shrimp sucks. So it literally needs like 2 minutes. As soon as it turns pink, actually you could probably turn it off now, but turn it all off and just be done. You're going to drain it as soon as this stuff starts to turn pink. And it happens quick. So I have thrown those shrimp in, and I told you this thing was full, but look how fast those things cook. They're already starting to turn pink on one side. So I am just going to push those down in. I'm going to turn this off, and I'm going to let them sit there for about 30 seconds, and then I'm going to pull this pot out, and we are going to go down to the dock. We're going to go down to the dock, and everybody's going to dig in just like this. So, all right, see you in a minute. Here we go. So, it's a little bit heavy. Gotta lift now and then. So, this is why you need one of these wonderful little buckets. So we can just drain this out, and then we can let that go out just a bit, and then we're gonna carry this whole thing down to the dock, and we're gonna throw it on. We don't have newspapers, because you know what? We're staying in a rental. I don't get the newspaper here, but I do have some paper bags from the grocery store, so we're just gonna use that. So you'll see it in just a second. As we drift. Door. This is why all my doors have levers and not twisties. No joke, because I'll use my feet if I have to.
Way to go, monkey.
Nobody wants to come to my house because I use my feet. All right, so this is how we do it. You just dump it out. Go for it, Sam. Some of it falls down. Throw your cocktail sauce, and you got your shaker full of Old Bay. Sprinkle it over the top. You can do as much or as little as you want right now. I kind of like do a little bit and then let everybody decide on their own. So dig in.
Amen.
Amen.
There's your low country boil.